Well, hello, hello, and welcome or welcome back to the Curious Coach's Lemonade Stand with your host, Dr. Gena. It is fabulous to have you here on a beautiful, sunny yet frigid day. And if you haven't been here before, welcome to your virtual community third spot. This is that lemonade stand where freshly squeezed insight is being poured in your neighborhood, where you can just stop by and get something zesty and fresh to drink. If you're coming back, thank you so much for returning. Really appreciate you taking the time and grateful that you've decided to spend it with us. Today, we have a very cool guest, a very old and dear friend of mine, and I'll hand over for her to introduce her fabulous self to you all. Please meet Claudia.
Hey, Gina. Hey, everybody. So glad to be here. Thank you so much. It's my privilege to be here. I have worked in the nonprofit space for about 20 years as a leader in program development, fundraising, and people development. I have always loved the coaching model. I'm so thrilled to be here and yeah, love chatting with you as always.
Thank you. Thank you. And if I were to pick like a top three friends, and I mean lifetime friends that embody curiosity, you'd probably be first or second, Claudia.
Oh
And
my
so for the
goodness,
Curious
you
Coaches Lemonade
too.
Stand, I mean, I'm just absolutely elated to have you here.
Oh,
So
me too.
everyone, I hope you get something fresh from our conversation today with this extremely creative and intuitive human being. So I thought that it would be nice to pick up on the threads that were discussed, I think about 2 episodes ago here on the Lemonade Stand, where we were talking about New Year intentions as opposed to resolutions. And one of the themes that really emerged as prevalent that I know quite a few of our viewers and listeners really resonated with was that of alignment,
Hmm.
2026 being a year of alignment. And we dove into what that means in terms of values. But when it comes to Claudia and I, we are people that are very much rooted in our bodies as well. And I thought it would be cool to think of the interface between values, our intuition, our bodies, and where does alignment fit in all of that, especially as an intention for this new year moving forward. So I'll start with that, Claudia. When you think about alignment with our bodies, what comes to mind for you?
When I think about alignment in my body, breath, being aware of my breath, that's probably the first thing. I tend to have a shallow breath when I'm not in
Same.
alignment. Yeah. Um, I also I feel stress in different parts of my body, and I know we all do. So, like, I'll feel it in my stomach or my shoulders. Uh, and I'll know that I'll also notice myself sort of hunching a little bit more if I'm
Yeah.
not in alignment. Um, yeah, those are the main things.
Those are really helpful cues. And as a coach, I pay a lot of attention to those things as well. How people are, as I'm coaching them, how they're breathing, where their shoulders are set is a really big one. Um, Even just facial expressions and not just the expression, but the tightening or loosening of the
Totally.
muscles, all of those kind of indicators. So when you are in alignment, what does your body feel like then?
Oh, it feels light. It feels like my breath is circulating. I feel like there's not like tightness in different parts of my body. Yeah, I feel like I trust myself and I'm in tune with myself.
Those are big. Yeah. Trusting yourself and being in tune with yourself. We can go a little bit deeper on each of those. I'm actually going to start with the second one because when you said in tune, it made me think about how much we both prize movement.
Yeah.
And what does it mean for you to be in alignment in terms of movement and how do you prioritize that?
So I have always enjoyed movement of whatever sort. So I practiced yoga for about 20 years. Recently, about 5 years ago, I got into Tai Chi, and I've been training Tai Chi for the last 5 years. I'm moved up to instructor level 2, which is
Ooh,
essentially like a second degree black shirt sort of thing.
congrats.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and, my dojo community is just so fantastic, shout out to them. Um, Practicing, like, so moving my body is a way to process stress, and the research shows this too. It's really important to move our bodies, and often I have recognized with myself, training martial arts has also helped me move my body even when I don't feel like it. When it's
Mm,
cold and blizzardy and you don't want to leave the house, it's almost not even a choice that, I have this commitment to train on these days, at these hours, and I just go and do it. And it's always a good decision to do
yeah,
it because I feel better, more energized afterward. Um, and it's just a gift to myself. I mean, our bodies, if we don't have our bodies and our health, what do we have? I mean,
yep.
everything else in our life is useless. If we can't, be there, we work so hard and don't give the same kind of attention to our bodies necessarily in this North American society as we do to the effort we put into work, for example, or, other responsibilities that we might have. And
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity to just remember that in everything we
That's
do.
that's a really great point. I'm thankful you made that point because as you were saying it, what triggered for me was a lot of people think of moving their body as another form of work. And yeah, it can be.
Ah,
It absolutely can be, but the way that you've positioned it and framed it there really speaks to me of it, you know, being something very different from work, something that's grounding for you. So,
absolutely.
like, one of the things that you're making me think of is how does movement, so even, if you wanted to specify Tai Chi, for example, or another movement, how does it ground you or how does it help you manage certain emotions?
Yeah, good question. Okay, so I'll first start out saying never in a million years did I ever think I'd do Tai Chi. I like fast movement. I did lots of hot yoga, lots of HIIT classes. I like moving fast. Um, and that's why Tai Chi is a challenge for me and is a good challenge,
Mm,
because it causes me to it's all about balance, right? Tai Chi is all about balance. So, balance in our bodies, balance in our breath, um, deeply breathing. And so, what it means to me is that moment, that, 2 hours that I'm training
wow.
is, yeah, I mean, we break it up. It's all a routine, right? So we have the routine forms that we do, and we're breathing the whole time. So learning how to breathe, and
I'm working on that.
it's me too. I mean, even though it's such a core part of our practice, learning how to breathe is is just it's the core part of the practice. You can't do Tai Chi if you're just focused in your head on getting the movements right. It's really about
Mm,
embodying it's an inner martial art. Tai Chi is an inner martial art.
that's an interesting way of, I haven't heard described as that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I mean, all the forms and the practice can all be used for fighting. There's very violent applications of the
Is
practices.
there? I did
Oh
not
yeah,
know
we could go.
that.
Yes, yes, it's very interesting. I love when Sensei sort of talks about how they can all be applied, and it can be gruesome. But the point that what I get out of it is really it's Tai Chi Qigong, right? So
Mm,
um it's about using our breath and having the body recharge our own energy, because can't be destroyed, right? So it's about rebuilding
mm.
the energy that we already have within us, and then also taking energy from nature to um, help replenish us as well.
Ah, that explains a lot. That's taking it from nature. Do you practice outdoors at all?
So we used to. So I started in 2020 when, at the height of the pandemic, and dojos were closed. So there was a lot of online training, and then when the weather got nicer, we practiced outdoors, and that was just lovely. It was lovely. We practiced in shoes, which was different for me, but I mean, life is adapting. Life is
Mm.
always changing. We have to be able to adapt to different circumstances. So training in shoes was it was a good challenge. And then we went back to the dojo, and so we're training indoors now.
That's very cool. I've just when you said it's connecting with nature, it brought me back to a memory of being in China, in Beijing many years ago, and anytime passing a park, just walking around exploring with my friend, there would just be groups of, usually older women practicing Tai Chi, like big groups, like never less than 20 people, and it didn't matter if it was 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. There were people in a park or something that would be, a pseudo park, like a tiny parkette what would qualify it here in Toronto is that there could be 40 women at any time of day practicing Tai Chi, and they usually would be barefoot. And it was just the most beautiful and graceful thing to watch. And now that you're explaining that connection to nature, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, practicing barefoot in nature is pretty special as well. Just having your feet on the grass is, I I mean, yeah, the energy from the earth really helps to replenish us. Absolutely. And um, process our stress.
Yeah. So these practices, I mean, everything I'm hearing from you is so positive. There was at the beginning, when you were describing how difficult it can be, in our Canadian, extra Canadian blizzardy winter we're having this year to force yourself out the door. What besides that gets in the way of prioritizing listening to our bodies and, moving ourselves in alignment with what our bodies need or what they're telling us.
For me, it's when I put something else as a higher priority. So there might be a deadline at work or, a commitment with the family, which these things happen. And of
Mhm.
course, we attend to them. Um, but I just need to be careful to not make it the norm, right?
Yeah.
That, if it's an exception 1 week or, for 2 weeks, okay. But I have to get back to my baseline because I know I can contribute more
Mhm.
when I'm feeling whole.
That's a really big noticing. That's a big piece of self-awareness that I think a lot of folks who don't necessarily prioritize that movement that they don't realize, might not be, cognizant of, at least not on a really conscious level, what that misalignment is causing for them. Like, other than noticing it's missing in your schedule, that you haven't, gone to something like Tai Chi or hot yoga or some other movement, what tells you in your body you've been missing this? What kind
Oh
of
my gosh.
indications do you get?
Yeah, good question. So, can I tell a story
Oh, please do,
about?
yeah.
So I tend to have. I'm a recovering workaholic, let's say, and I have been burnt out in various times in my life. And one time that my body was telling me something, and was when it was the summer of 2020, again during the pandemic. It was really busy at work. I was trying to get these really ambitious deadlines and proposals out the door, and working, all hours,
Mm.
and really um, putting in my best. I think a lot of folks in the charitable sector have. And outside the charitable sector, but especially in the charitable sector, um,
There's a
really feel
propensity to burn out more
to
because
burn out, and then
mission
also,
driven, yeah,
yeah,
mission
mission
driven equals much
driven,
closer to burnout.
we put a lot of responsibility on
Yep.
ourselves. We have a tendency to
It's a moral
just,
obligation, not just a work obligation. It goes further
yeah,
and
and it's
deeper.
not realistic, really.
Yeah.
We're human beings. And
Yeah.
anyway, so I was on that path. putting in these, intense hours and stuff. And I started to feel um, vertigo.
Mm.
So lots of intense vertigo. And vertigo is an imbalance, right? You're talking about alignment and balance and stuff in our bodies,
So it's a
you know,
literal manifestation of imbalance. Yeah.
literal manifestation. And so um, I didn't understand what it was. I hadn't felt that ever in my life before. So I'm like, it's probably, I didn't get enough sleep last night, and I kept making excuses and ignored it so I could get these, external stuff done, and
Mhm.
just ignored what I was feeling. And so eventually it didn't go away. Saw lots of experts, went to an ENT doctor, and 8 months later, finally had an MRI and discovered that I had uh, a benign tumor on my balance nerve. So that was a lot to process.
Yeah.
Um,
But glad you listened. There are people who would put it off
I,
for years.
so it's so interesting, right? I listened, but so that before I could actually get that diagnosis, I lost my hearing in my left ear. So I was trying to listen, right? But also my body was like, "Hey, you're not listening. You got to pay attention here."
Mhm.
And so lost my hearing, and it was because of that, growth in my head. And anyway, all that to say, ha- life threw me that curveball. I needed to make a choice. There weren't a lot of choices at that time. The main one was surgery. So I did have that surgery, very successful. Got the whole thing out. It was, I'm so grateful for those doctors and the community support around me that, made it really, really possible for me to heal in the way that I needed to, and make
Mhm.
choices to have a more balanced life going forward. And so Tai Chi really helped me before and after the surgery.
Mm.
The doctor said that it was important to have a really strong baseline before going into surgery so that my body could recoup and get back to that strong baseline after the surgery.
Yep.
And so I took some time off before the surgery to really train consistently. And
Nice.
that just helped me feel strong. Because Tai Chi isn't easy, right? Like there's lots of low stances and stuff. So I felt strong. I felt balanced. I felt, confident and positive going into the surgery. And that's how you want to be.
Yeah.
Um, and
I didn't
so,
realize
mhm,
that. This is, I knew the story, but I didn't know the part about you conscientiously, very intentionally focusing on Tai Chi before surgery to
yeah,
get your body ready because
absolutely.
that's such a similarity, and I'm sure I shared with you, it was not the intentionality, 'cause it definitely wasn't a conscious decision, but prior to my accident the same year in 2020 before my big motorcycle
Right.
accident, I had been partly because we're home and I was stir crazy, I had been working out way more than usual, like, I'd upped it to about 5 days a week steadily, and Mark, my husband, was like, "Well, what are you doing? Like, are you training for something? Is there a marathon you're gonna do?" I'm like, "Me, marathon, that's not a thing. It's never going to be a thing." But I remember when he asked me, my answer was, "I don't know what's coming, but I have this feeling that something's coming that I need to be really strong for."
Wow, Gina, I don't know that you ever told me that.
Really?
Wow. So
Okay,
you
well, I'm
felt
glad
something
this
in
is
your
the moment.
body.
Yeah,
Huh.
I just had this intuitive hit, something's coming, I need to be, like, at my prime level of physical fitness for whatever's coming,
Interesting.
and that all came crashing back to me, after the crash, being in rehab weeks after multiple surgeries, to the left side of my body. I'm in rehab, and I will never forget being in the gym where, I'd be every other day doing different kinds of workouts for recovery to rehabilitate my body, learning how to walk again, learning how to move different things again. I'll never forget all of the physical therapists, the assistants, the orthopedic surgeons just standing around me with their clipboards. And chatting about me. I remember saying, "Guys, I'm here. I can hear you." Because they just kept looking at me like, "No, that's impossible. She didn't break her tib and fib how many days ago? That's impossible. She couldn't do this now." "No, she did. I have her clipboard right here. Look at her chart. But she also broke this. How is it possible? She can't. How is she doing those reps with that weight? That's not that can't be done." And they're talking about me, and I remember feeling I was laughing, but feeling incredibly proud because it was just blowing their minds what I was capable of so soon after multiple days of surgery. And that would have been completely impossible had I not done what I'd done. And as you said, prepared and put myself into a place of prime fitness so that my recovery was much faster. And I was always, like you, always into movement, always athletic and played sports right up until that point. And I'm so, so grateful for that. Because I remember at one point them even calling out, but she's had children and she's what age? And like all of those things were supposed to be markers and proof that I cannot possibly be doing that. Like two doctors came and said that we must have the wrong charts.
Right.
And the physiotherapist was like, no, we've been watching her for days. This is her. These are her charts.
Yeah.
Like literally, this conglomeration of health practitioners just talking about me like I'm not there. And I was giggling like, oh, thank goodness I followed that feeling.
Oh, yeah. Thank goodness you followed that feeling. Oh my gosh, so important. We I don't know what causes us to not feel the feelings. I mean, I don't know that I even want to go there, but just to
But you know
stay in
what?
this. Yeah, tell me, tell me.
It's a big point. I'm just thinking about the fact that at that time, I was not in a full-time job.
Ah, so you had more time to.
Way more time. I remember
Mhm.
being able to focus on my own health and my kids and the wonderful horrors of online schooling and all of those things. I was able to really focus on those because I was not working full-time at the time.
Yeah, so that was a blessing, right? Although there are
Huge blessing.
trade-offs, because yeah, your
Definitely.
finances,
But
you
I
wish
think
they were different, but
it really demonstrates and gives evidence to and validates what you were saying before, that it's the working, that external pressure of working that often gets in the way of us listening to our body's cues. Because maybe I just wouldn't have heard that voice saying you need to be strong for something coming, or I would have ignored it. Yeah, 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 but I'm busy. I'm doing a 50-hour work week. Can't.
so how do we have the courage to listen?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think not listening, especially when tying it to something like work or any other societal expectations, I know we're also both recovering people pleasers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's hard to say no
Yeah.
to, disappoint, or to feel
Yeah.
like you're
Feel
disappointing
like
or
we're
letting
disappointing. Yeah.
down. Yeah, that's not easy. So what do you do? What are your strategies? Do you advise people on?
All the time, and you know what? I'm very honest because I always, I always say, "Listen, the first big word I learned when I was a little kid in the dictionary was hypocrite," because I
Hmm,
cannot abide by that. That's a personal value. I cannot deal with this hypocrisy. So if I'm coaching people to do something, I can't be the jerk that does it myself or
yep.
violates whatever I'm telling them. So I always tell my clients, "I'm on the journey with you recovering from people pleasing." I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna say I'm at the end of it. Hopefully, I'm a little further along and then can, give a little bit of advice and guidance, but more than anything, I definitely know from an intrinsic and intimate perspective, the questions to ask you to help you move along on your personal
Mm,
journey away
excellent.
from people pleasing and towards the courage to set boundaries that make sense for you.
Um, I think, and I don't know if this is one of your questions, but often I ask myself, well, it's a risk if I do it, it's a risk if I don't,
Yeah,
right?
I often ask, what are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to?
Right. Yeah.
That balance question again. There's always a trade-off. So, yeah, sure, I can get this done. Okay, what if you just said no to? What
Hmm.
what sports practice of your child can you not make because you said yes to that,
Yeah.
for example?
Trade-offs, right? There's always
Totally,
trade-offs. Hmm.
right? And that's why being clear on your values, aligning with them, and prioritizing your time and energy, that's a big part of actually what I guide people around, is energy management rather than time management.
Yeah. Yeah, that resonates with me too. Is just, I mean, I'm really privileged to be able to work from home most days. And if I need to, just lay down horizontally for 10 minutes or something. If I need to, sometimes, I'm still sensitive, my eyes at the screen for so
Yes.
long. So I just try to be aware of that, or, go out for a walk with my dog, or, we have a ravine close to our house. So we're, really grateful to be able to, be close to all these trees all the time. Is lovely.
That's actually another thing we have in common that I didn't really think about when I thinking about where we live, very different parts of the city. I'm on the East End, Claudia's more central. And yet, both of us live in places that are close to ravines, that are close to lots of parks, that have big mature trees, that are neighborhoods that are
Sure.
well developed, that have a strong sense of community and social connection. And that's really important for how we balance and manage and prioritize our energy, for sure. Because I do the same thing. I go out for bike rides in the ravine area on my lunch times, and that's completely refreshing and renewing to me. I can't take a job that doesn't allow me
Yeah.
that
Right.
flexibility to balance and prioritize my body and movement and my health that way.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people are having that sort of wake up call, or, since the pandemic, not
Yeah.
really wanting to go back to work in the office full time, because they can be as productive or even more productive working from home while also balancing, their health and their family responsibilities and stuff that like the world has shown us. We've even proven to ourselves that we can do it.
Yeah.
So,
Totally. Now, I'm gonna be devil's advocate for a second because we were talking about stepping away from the people pleasing and having the courage to step away from that. And yet I know for both of us, social connection is
yeah.
like top tier priority.
Yeah.
And how do those speak to each other, right? How do you balance people pleasing, not people pleasing, but also putting a high premium on social connection and relationship building? Because I know we both do it professionally and personally.
I find that when we take a risk to be vulnerable, or when I have
Yeah.
in the past, to actually express what it is I'm feeling, it gives people permission to do the same.
Yes.
So one example was really interesting. So early December, the height of flu season, I we my grandmother was not in great shape, and I really wanted to spend some time with her. And I had made a commitment to go for a coffee with one of our partners and donors, and who lives in the neighborhood. And I didn't want to break that commitment. I didn't want to tell her, well, I'm going to the hospital. I didn't want to make it a big thing.
Yeah.
So I decided to go. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. I could go to the hospital afterwards. Uh, and actually, she came with her sick child. Imagine her child was like, I don't know, 5 or something, 4 or 5.
Wow.
And she was thinking the same thing as me. She didn't want to cancel on me. And then we just told each other what we were experiencing, and we're like, "You can always just text me." We have each other's, like, made sure we had each other's cell phone numbers now. I'm like, "If we need to cancel, it's okay. We can postpone it. It's not the end of the world. I'm not gonna judge you. All good." And so that was just so telling. I mean, I think that sometimes we assume people are gonna judge us because we might be really hard on ourselves, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No one judges us as hard as we judge ourselves.
Mhm.
That's typically that is the case.
Yeah.
But we have that expectation that they'll judge us or that it will somehow negatively impact the relationship
Sure.
if we
Yeah.
show up as human or don't show up
Right.
because we're human in this case.
Right. Yeah. But you can't separate the human from, like, we bring our whole selves forward, whether we acknowledge it or not, right? If
Mhm.
we, got into a little scuffle with our teenagers at home, right? And then go into work, sometimes it's easier to shake it off than other times, but,
Yeah.
like, it's not necessarily as easy to compartmentalize these days, I'm finding, right? Like, it's a stressful time.
It is. It absolutely is, and, as you say that word, I have to say in every initial session with a new coaching client, I use that word because I say, "Please don't ever feel any kind of obligation or pressure to compartmentalize your work self, your professional self, your career self from the rest of your self. Like I am a holistic coach and sometimes I'm working with clients that, their organizations are the stakeholder that have paid for them to receive this coaching, for performance development, leadership development. And even then, I always remind them in that initial session, do not compartmentalize. And I give an example too. It's because it's a dramatic one of a client I had, a C-suite executive, and he was using one of our sessions to do some role play. He wanted to prepare for a controversial presentation he had to make to his board of directors, anticipating some pushback. And they said, of course, we can use a session to practice that. And so I remember getting into it on a Thursday morning with him. He's getting ready for the board meeting that evening. And it just wasn't him. Like, he just wasn't showing up as himself. He was just stumbling, just not coming across with the level of confidence and clarity I knew he was
Mm,
capable of and usually came with. And I said, "Respectfully, I'm just gonna interrupt you. Something is not you today. Something is off. Like, with permission, is there anything you wanna share that might be having you show up a little differently today?" And he said, "Oh, I signed the divorce was made final last night." I'm like, "Dude,
mhm.
you can't
Yeah,
come in the next morning and act like that didn't just happen. That's
yeah.
a life-changing moment."
Mhm.
Right? I'm not saying we have to roll around in it and not devote this time to what you need to devote it to. However, acknowledging it is going to actually help us, like, it's the old go slow to go fast. We need to acknowledge that and what it's doing, how it's impacting how you're showing up today so that we can move forward from there. And so I'll give that as an extreme example, and it always really hits, with people, and I find it's a good example too because it was a very executive level male,
Mhm.
um, just to demonstrate feelings will derail when you think you're successfully compartmentalizing in the name
Right,
of getting the job done. You're not.
right.
It's not actually going to turn out the way that you want it to. You're not gonna have the impact that you could or would have if you just stopped to acknowledge and work through this because it's a part of your human experience.
It's so interesting. We often in our meditation practice will, like sometimes it's the exercise of focusing on our breath and just letting thoughts go.
Mhm.
Other times it's acknowledging what it is we're feeling and just allowing it. Just allowing it.
I'm still stuck at this stage of learning
I
meditation.
know, I know, I know, I know. I mean, okay, so am I. I'm still learning, totally learning. Some days are way better than others. It made a world of a difference when I was healing from my concussion. Meditation was like a life changer. Um, and then I sort of didn't do it so much, and now I'm back into it. But um, yeah, I mean, sometimes we're not even aware of our thoughts and what we're thinking. There's
Mhm.
so much mental chatter, and just pausing to just acknowledge what it is I'm feeling. What is that thought in my head? Sometimes I'll do a guided meditation,
Yeah. I
on an
find
app
those
I
easier
use.
because it gives me something the thoughts have somewhere to focus.
Yeah.
Like, give the chatter something to focus on, please.
Yeah. 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 Totally. Yeah. And often it's like an old record playing in our heads and we're not even aware of it.
Yeah,
And, um, or sometimes we're grieving and,
that's a good
there's
example.
different stuff we're grieving and we are maybe not allowing ourselves to grieve because grief shows up in different ways. For me, I know it showed up a lot as anger.
Oh, yeah.
And so anyway, I had some good conversations with my kids when I would, just sort of erupt in a way that I wasn't proud of. And but it's all about mistakes and repairs, right? If we're
Mhm.
able to repair, we're all human and on a
Yeah.
journey and nobody's perfect.
Very true. I think this is a nice kind of movement to loop us right back to the beginning noticing when there are those patterns that are happening and recognizing them and interrupting them with movement. I think anger is such a good example. I'm gonna call out something because it's an example of you.
Oh,
I don't
okay,
know if you
okay.
remember this. This was probably a few years ago. It was one of those just domestic frustration moments, and I remember you telling me you asked Hafa, your husband, to just let you out the car at the next yoga studio.
I don't remember that. That is
You did.
hilarious.
You told me you were having such a rough morning, and you were running errands, I think, and I think you maybe planned to go to yoga later in the day, but
Okay.
you were like, "There's a class starting soon, just drop me off at the studio." It's like, it was on the way to where the next errand was, and you
Yep.
you already had your mat and your water bottle and everything you needed with you, and you just kinda jumped out the car and went to yoga, and I spoke with you after, and you were a whole different person.
That is yeah, because you just like I need to sweat. For me,
Yeah,
sweating and breathing just helps me get back to center and helps me show up as like a better version of myself for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I my big thing now, knowing sort of that again, having to flow with the changes of our bodies and the aftermath of the accident. I used to be, and this is long, long time ago. This is 25 years ago, into kickboxing, as you talked
Oh
about.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Martial arts. I did Muay Thai kickboxing back when it was just me and a bunch of dudes in a gym. There was one other woman that practiced in that entire kickboxing gym back then. So now it's wonderful that so many more women are into it. But coming out of the accident, starting to, get usage of my body back again, wanting to test and push limits. The two things I returned to right away were cycling and swimming because
Mhm.
they were the easiest on my joints, especially all the surgery in my leg. And it was great. Like my milestones have been getting to a point where I cycle and swim faster than I did prior to the accident, right? So it's
Wow.
taken a lot. But then I missed more active things like you. I like to move fast. And one of the greatest boons for me has been getting into, which has been recently canceled by Meta, supernatural fitness, so that I'm able
Ah,
to actually do boxing. Some kickboxing moves in there too. And it's almost like sword fighting, but a lot of sweat, a lot of ability to move to amazing music. There's great, virtual reality trainers. And I love that as a traveler, and I know we both are fellow travelers. I love that you're always working out in a beautiful part of the world, right?
oh,
So you might be
wow.
boxing on top of the Great Wall of China, or you
Oh,
might
that's so
be,
cool.
on a beautiful beach in the Maldives while you're sword fighting. And I have to say, having the privilege of being to many of these places, it looks really realistic. Like,
Come
I was
on.
meditating in a grotto in Brazil.
Wow.
And I'm like, "This looks like Brazil." Like, I'm inside of this grotto, and there's water over there, and, this beautiful sun
That's
shining into the cave. It's so grounding, and
oh, and in the
I
winter
I'm in my
too.
house, yeah.
Yes.
It's in the winter, I have space but where lots of windows are, and I can do this movement, and I can be in the worst mood. I usually do
Mhm.
it, for example, every Monday morning, right? I do it at least 4 days a week, every Monday morning, and I will be, like, grumbling, but the moment I got that VR on and I'm ready to go, and I've got my water bottle there and my towel, people sometimes ask me, "Do you get a good workout from it?" I'm like, my knees sweat."
Come
I played
on.
volleyball, and my knees didn't sweat when I played competitive volleyball, but
It's
that's the
intense.
level of exertion, right? And I
Okay.
love it. To your point, it's so cleansing. It feels so
Mhm.
healing and refreshing and recentering, and I never come out of a workout feeling anything but better than when I started. Whether I went in a bad mood, good mood, or in between, I will come out better.
Amazing. And so that's important to remember, right? When you don't feel like doing it
Yeah,
and you make up all the excuses and you just, yeah, ground yourself by remembering how good you're going to feel afterwards.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that takes some courage. It takes the courage to at least prioritize it and say, "No,
Yeah.
maybe I can't go do this thing." because want to prioritize this other thing. Like for me, it's even meant, no, I don't want to, take on these certain tasks or roles if it means that it's going to deny me the opportunity, which I know is a privilege of being able to enjoy that movement of my body in my own home on my own terms, safely, but yet, having fun and giving me what I need from that movement.
And we just show up in wherever we're showing up at work and in our family relationships and our community relationships, in our, partners, if we have partners. It just I feel more whole,
Yeah.
and we're able to
And more
bring a
yourself.
more yourself. We're able to, bring a more positive energy,
Yeah.
and almost like our future self. We're sort of dipping
Love
our
that.
toe into what our future self could look like.
I love that. I really
Mhm.
love that. And I know we both see it in our partners and our kids too, when they move versus
Oh,
when they don't move.
100%. I'm saying, "Hey, go out of the house. Go do your karate." Raphael's trains karate, and yeah, anyway, so we encourage each other to
And
get
that's
that
really important
exercise.
too.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that's crucial too. And setting that example for our kids is also
Oh,
very
yeah.
important. Yeah. Wow. Well, this has been awesome. I am very excited. It's been a while since I've actually brought out the cards.
Ah,
And
okay,
if there's
yes.
someone that I knew would be amenable to pulling a card, it's Claudia.
I'm always so curious.
Yes, we're always on that spiritual and that esoteric vibe. So if you haven't seen me do this before, folks, this is the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshitani. It's one of my favorite tarot decks. I do use tarot sometimes when coaching or even just for individual readings. I know I've done lots for Claudia and others over time. And it's something that just helps, I think, channel intuition. It really
Mhm.
is just another tool that we can use to channel. So I am shuffling right now. I always say I never know what card's going to come out. So today we've picked out, oh, what a nice one. The Nine of Cups.
Hmm.
So the Nine of Cups, first of all, of the different suits, cups always represents our emotions. So think of it as, filling your cup.
Hmm.
Nine of Cups is known as the wish fulfillment card.
Hmm.
So the card previous to the Nine of Cups, the Eight of Cups, is about walking away from something that doesn't fulfill you or no longer serves you, even if it once did, towards the Nine of Cups, which is your wish fulfillment.
Hmm. Wow.
So it is an enormously positive card. The particularity of this one in this deck is really cool, actually, because I'll actually read it because it's what I love about this deck is it's myths and legends from around the world, and I love the way Yoshi uses these different myths and legends to exemplify and really illustrate what a card stands for. So this is from an Iranian or Arab folk tale, right? So this is Taj al-Muluk and the Princess Dunya. So the Nine of Cups represents a happy ending achieved in unexpected ways. Prince Taj al-Muluk fell in love with Princess Dunya, but she refused men. He used trickery, disguising himself as a woman in order to win her heart. Right?
Fascinating.
Not the ones that we normally hear about, right? We think of these myths and stories. So it represents dreams realized, fulfillment, pleasure, recognition, triumph. I think it's
Hmm.
an apt card for what we just described, that post movement bliss, that sense of alignment, that sense of just all being right with the world, our cups being filled. It's like an emotional regulator when we
Hmm.
prioritize that movement and give our body what it needs in order to continue to pour into other people's cups. 'Cause as a coach, I'm always talking about you can't pour from an empty pitcher. You've got to keep pouring yours. So when you've got 9 cups full of your happiness, a sense of triumph, how can that not be something that has a positive impact on those around you, those that you serve, those in your family, those that you most want to show up as your best self for?
I love it. Abundance, ending off on
Yeah,
abundance here. Yeah, and toward abundance.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, on a very spiritual and emotional level. So
absolutely.
yeah. Well, As always, the deck never lies. It always gives just the right card, I find, to underscore what we've been discussing. And for those of you listening, watching today's pod episode, I hope you've had a great time. I hope you found something insightful, something that, resonates with your own personal experience. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe so that you are notified whenever new episodes are posted, which is on average about bi-weekly. And feel free to comment. Love your feedback as well. If there's something that struck a chord within you in this episode, or something that, as we always say, made you say, and might even have stirred up a thought about what you'd love to hear us talk about on a future episode. Please do share that in the comments as well. And of course, like and share with anyone that you think might benefit from what's been talked about today, too. So I want to just take a moment to thank you again, Claudia, for stopping by our lovely lemonade stand space here today. Really appreciated having you and your insights. Thanks so, so much.
Thank you so much, Gina. My heart is full.
Same. Nine of Cups. Cheers to both of us.
Cheers. Cheers. Nice to see you. Take
You
care.
too.
Bye
Take care.
bye.
Be well, everyone.